Here's the Barix MA400 mono SIP Opus bi-directional codec. It uses power over Ethernet, so you'll need to supply a 48-volt PoE injector. Put it on the network, let it get a DHCP address, and use the Barix device finder to locate the IP address of the Barix. You'll need to log in with a web browser. This has a password on it. The username is admin. The password can be found on a sticker on the bottom of the unit. Once you're logged in, let's go ahead and set up the Barix MA400. First thing we're going to do is go in and insert our SIP information. After we create an account on OnSIP, we're just going to go ahead and copy that information from OnSIP on into the Barix device. So go ahead and copy in your domain. That goes in line number 1. And then we're going to go in and copy in our username, our auth username, and our password, and enter that into the Barix. We're also going to enter sip.onsip.com as the SIP proxy, as noted in our OnSIP account. And then in this field, we can go ahead and enter the SIP account in the switchblade that we want the Barix to call most often. This will appear on the home page when we're done. When we're finished, we can go ahead and apply this information, and it'll do a quick reboot. Next, we want to go ahead and assign a static IP address. It can run off a DHCP, but ideally it will have a static IP address assigned to it for remote admin. A reminder, we want to give this an internal IP behind the firewall, not a public IP out on the public internet. So go ahead and assign your internal IP address here and hit apply. Finally, we're going to go in and tell it which codecs we want to use. By default, it'll do several different codecs. We only want it really to do the Opus codec. So we're going to go in and deselect all the other codecs except for Opus. Now we're back to the home page, and this is where it gives us the status information. It tells us if the Barix is registered to OnSIP and if it's ready to go ahead and make or receive calls. The default SIP address we entered earlier is now located right there on the front page. We can hit dial, and it'll dial that account up and connect to the switchblade. We can then enter our own freeform address in there as well. Again, if we hit dial, dials that up. Here we're dialing up a Comrex access. Again, as long as these codecs are SIP enabled, you should be able to dial and connect to any SIP enabled codec that does Opus.
That's S-U-N SUN to 200-200. Good luck.
You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest.
And again, it's set for auto answer, so you can call from the switchblade to the Barix, and it will answer and start passing bi-directional audio.
The talent disparity at the end of the day, it's just too much.
I was going to say, it looked like the Pistons when they went
And again,
small.
just a quick demonstration of dialing from the Barix and connecting to the switchblade.
With Drummond off the court, because I mean, what, minus 45 in game 1, minus 32 or something like that yesterday. It looks like when he's off the court and the Pistons go small, that might be their best chance against this.
There is another mode built in called Simple Player, and this makes this device backwards compatible to some of our existing Barix gear that's already in place. This will play a stream from an in-streamer or an internet stream. In this case, we're going to go ahead and input a stream from an existing in-streamer that is currently in use as a backup STL. And when you hit apply, it will reboot, and after a couple of seconds, it will go grab that stream from your in-streamer and start playing that audio. If you're not familiar with this process using an in-streamer, as opposed to the push process, you can go in and define in your settings in the in-streamer what will be following the IP address, and then you just enter that information as we just did, and it will pull that stream and play it in the Simple Player. Here's an example of playing an internet stream. This is a stream from the EOC. So it can play both internet streams of all media types in the cloud, or pull audio from an in-streamer as well. Put it back into SIP mode, and it will then be ready to make or receive SIP calls. One final note, Couple of LEDs on the front. The red LED just means there's power to the unit. The green LED on the right-hand side will be steady green when it's registered and blinking green when it is connected.